Right, starting again, this is the Morris Minor from British Railways, Helling Line. There used to be a railway line along there called the Cuckoo Line, but they got rid of that. Bit silly of them. Morris Minor 1000. They mostly seem to be 1000s. I think they all are. There's a Woody or a Traveller. There's a Ford 8, as in 8 horsepower, not anything interesting. Behind that is a Morris Minor Traveller. And there's the Triumph Herald behind that, just there. Another Morris Minor. There's a van, and to its left a cabriolet, drop top, sorry. I think the only Morris Minors that never had the 1000cc were the ones that called the MM, the really original, really earlies. There's another, looks like an Austin A something.
Yeah. Well, we all bought. Yeah, you buy a car, and then you went and bought your Haynes, mate. That's right. You got it.
Devon. It's called.
Yeah, you had to get your
Name it. Yeah, so we go around here. Here's a. Let's look at these tractors first, because there's a Fordson Major, David Brown, and to its right another Fordson Major with a bit of an interesting detail. Loud bore exhaust. If we look here, we see this is a standard Vanguard in, what colours is that? RAF colours, I suppose. I'm just going to go up here a little bit because I've found some other stuff. There's a, what's that? That's a comma. Next to that is a Steyr Putsch. We just swing back over here. There's a couple of AEC Matadors over here as well. Couple. No, the one's one on the left is. Yeah, they're both Millis, both Matadors, AEC Matadors. To its right is a Thames. There's another comma as a van. Another Thames. Another couple of Thames. So E83W commercial, 1172. So behind me, oh look, a World War II Jeep, lovely. Lovely. Obviously people are having fun parking up, so there's a Scamel with a guard, Scamel Unique. Next to that's a Unimog in yellow. Right, back to where we'll... So if we go up here, we see the Steyr Putsch again, Mazda MX-5, sometimes known as Miatas, sometimes known as Unos. Next to that's an Austin 7, next to an MGB.
And that used to have a unit that was a top of it. Took it off and it just
Volkswagen Type 2.
Cloth, so I can pull that cloth back and just have it all at night if I wanted to do that.
Lovely things they are. Well, I wonder if you could hire one of those. So, right, if we just go back around here, there's the Unimog. Next to that's a Austin A35.
I'm not sure there's enough room there for a tractor to get through now.
Next to a Wolseley. Another Austin 7 in the background. There's a Lagonda again. We look down here. It's International 946 to my left here. Massey Ferguson 135. Fordson Model N. Next to a Fordson Major. I think there's a mixture of vehicles here. Weird looking thing there. I think that's a that's the Leyland. I saw that last week. There's a Massey Ferguson 3080 next to a Ford tractor. Over Land Rover next to a Ford Zephyr drop top. Back to the tractors again. Minneapolis Moline, I think I saw that at last week. Ferguson TE20 or TE series anyway. And if we just go around here, we get to see for ourselves a Field Marshal. Interesting rigs these are. Oh.
I mean, I think it's so inconsistent. You could have had one against you for Saka handball.
You're still discussing.
Right, we're going to see if we're going to have a look down here. And another David Brown tractor. There's a Nuffield 1060 parked round the wrong way. We'll probably see that again in a minute. Fordson Major next to a Ford 333. A Zetor 5748. Seen that before. Another Nuffield Universal, I think, or 1060. Here's a Fordson Major. There's a Fordson Super Major over there actually. What's this weather trying to do? Right, take the sunnies off a minute. So here's a Fordson Major next to a International. Ooh, what's this? It's an interesting looking thing here. That is a Uni Horse. Must be for market gardening. Try not to trip over the don't trip on the grass. So there's a Bedford, some kind. I think it might be. Looks like a TK. Looks like a Bedford TK. Next to a. There's the International again. Another Bedford here. Next to a Citroen H-Van with a Solex motorised bicycle thing. Here's a Land Rover and another Bedford. I think that's a Bedford. Bedford pickup, that. If we move further along, we see a Scamel in the branding of Meachers Transport Limited, Southampton. Next to another Scamel to its left, which looks as though it's got complete towing and generating kit on the back. Next to a Fordson Major and a Case. And if you notice the 4 rings and a square, that's got Perkins diesel. That's the Perkins diesel symbol. So here's a Bedford camper next to a Bedford, looks like a TK again, called Bertie. Here's a Bedford lorry. And if we take a look to its right, you see a Foden. Now Foden were messing about with steam engines, then they went to diesel at some point in history really. Go. Fordson Super Dexter there, another Fordson Major to its right. Ford 4000 next to a another grey Fergie TE20 I think, or TE series anyway. Next to a Leyland. Here's a Fendt Farmer 3S. A Turbo Technic Favorite LS611 by Fendt. Right, so we're now back at the top of the tractors, so we're going to go down here now. So I've seen more tractors. So there's a B250 International next to a David Brown just here. Figuring my way around this lot. Here's a diesel Field Marshal just here. next to what could only be described as a tractor vehicle. See if I can get a better view of this. Looks like I don't know what it is. If I try and get a view of this. It's a pretty impressive looking machine though. It is impressive. Another, by the looks of things, international harvester perhaps, I don't know. It's a bit too rusted for it to care. Here's a Fordson Model N, or probably Model N Special actually. World War II colours. There's the Super Dexter. Looks to be a Crop Master over there actually, in green. Yeah, it's a David Brown in green. And there's a Massey Ferguson 135. I've driven one of those. Bit disconcerting not to have front brakes. We look next door, we see a John Deere, first one of the day, 3130. Next to a Nuffield Universal. There's the Fordson again. I'm going to try and get past this. So I've got to try and get to military vehicles. Mace, say hi. B414 diesel McCormick International. Next to another Fordson Model N. Looks to be in World War II colours because they were painted green so that, I won't go into it too much, so they wouldn't get spotted. Things got a bit bad. Things got a bit crazy. Fordson Major Diesel. They're always in blue, Ford tractors. Here's a Field Marshal diesel. Single cylinder engine, 2-stroke. Could run backwards, could run forwards, or you could get it so it didn't make a cycle at all and just stand still. Here's a Fordson Super Major, next to a much more polished example of a Super Major. Here we are. But what I'm really looking at is this. It's a Super Major. It's a Super Major, but if you make a note of this, it's a Perkins V8 diesel. See the little clues. This thing probably has a lot of grunt. Right, I'm just going to carefully reverse back and try and admire this without knocking into anyone, because, well, this is just that people is going to have some grunt. Right, I think that's all the tractors now, so we're going to go and take a look at the military vehicles now, and the first thing I see is an Austin Champ. I'm trying to think where they were contemporary to. Try not to. If we go up here a bit, we're going to see some more. I'll have a look in the bike shed a bit in a minute actually. I won't get in. Here's a Land Rover. It looks like a Land Rover, it's actually a Minerva. Ah yes, now I see, yeah. They were made under license as a Minerva. I expect they were pretty tough machines. World War II Jeep sitting next to a Bedford in military spec. Couple of AECs. I think they're both Matadors or Militants. Right, we see a World War II Jeep complete with complete with just about everything a son sorting things out would need. I can't really think of it, I don't want to go into history too much. There's a Foden lorry in the back there. this looks like another Austin Champ, I think. 18 Command Workshop. Couple of Land Rovers. One's a Series 2. There's a military spec Defender here. Another military spec Defender. Land Rovers were used by the army up until, I'm trying to think when it was. It weren't that long ago. Right, I'm going to try and swing round. I'm going to try and swing around, but I seem to have encountered too many people. Here's a Defender. Next to that looks to be a Jeep. I'm not sure actually. It says it's powered by a Perkins engine, so it might not be. It might be saying a bit later, not sure. Military spec Defender in desert colours. That looks like another Jeep. It's got the front end of one. I'm not sure what that would be. But it's sitting next to a Comet to its left, and to my left, sorry, and a Land Rover. But yeah, I'm going to head up to the motorbike shed now, see if I can catch anything in there. Then I think I'm going to track along the bottom and then track back up, get back up to the... So here's a Honda Goldwing sitting next to a BSA. There's a couple of General Post Office motorbikes here by BSA. Oh. There's an aerial. Oh, it's a motorbike from the Battle of Burwash. Didn't know Rover made a motorcycle, but looks like they did. So yeah, we've seen those. BSA Lightning 650 in here. Means if it rains, this lot aren't getting wet. Useful. Here's a Triumph 650. Couldn't read the writing there. Here's a BSA Bantam and a Honda G125. Something that you start off on when you get a motorbike license. Some more projects in here. There's a Douglas, there's a Mobilette, some sort of motorised bicycle, and there's a bicycle that's, I don't know, a Swiss Army bicycle. Does that mean it's got multiple uses? Like a Swiss Army, I better not say it. But yeah, that's the show. That's part one of the done. Yeah, so that's part one of Tinker's Park done. At some point I'll be going to the arena and watching events, but now I'm just going to enjoy the show a bit. Have a load of... But that Minneapolis Moline tractor, the yellow one there with the bike on the back, I saw that last week at Loughton. Well, I'm still trying to sort the videos out from that because I've got rubbish internet. Right.